In 2005, I was just 19 when I volunteered to go to Iraq and look for roadside bombs. My service changed my life. After 20 years, I want to help veterans tell their stories. Grab your whoopee, sit back and relax. I'm your host, Joseph Yankton, and this is Rank and File. Welcome to the Rank and File podcast. You are Mike Waldron of 23rd Veteran.
That's correct. Executive Director for 23rd Veteran.
What is 23rd Veteran?
That's a nonprofit organization. So I started that back in 2015 in northern Minnesota with the intention of expanding it nationwide. And I've been working on doing that ever since. So, like, the purpose behind the nonprofit is to provide a better transition, both physically and mentally, out of the military. The military does such a good job of training us how to be in the military. Like, we have this, obviously, this long-term active program that trains us on a conscious and a subconscious level, how to be comfortable in a military environment, how to talk like we're in the military, which is a different language and a much more vulgar language than like civilians are used to. In some cases, we're learning how to be comfortable killing people.
Achieving the objective, yeah. If that's what's needed.
And then we get a 5-day PowerPoint class on how to be a civilian and release back in the civilian world. So there's a lot of difficulties there with that transition, like I said, on the conscious and the subconscious level. We talk differently. A lot of times we have these fears or triggers that have been drilled into us or locked into us from traumatic experiences. We have a difficult time getting along in society and at work, and at least a lot of social isolation, which is a dangerous place. Dangerous place for anybody.
Right. Yeah. So you served in the Marine Corps?
I did.
From 2000 to 2004?
Yep, it's in the infantry.
I grew, so 0311?
Correct.
Nice.
Correct.
So Marine Corps, Men's Department of the Navy. My grandfather was in the Marine Corps. He was in World War II. He was in the Pacific side. Ended up getting malaria, but was able to live into his old and ornery years. During the war? It stemmed from that. Okay. And so he was, I remember visiting the VA with him, and he was old and ornery. But the stories of the Marines and my dad being in the Navy, going to San Diego and hearing that there was this wall between the Navy and the Marines, and he said that he heard there's Marines over there training, but it sounded like hell, and whatever hell sounded like, it had to be on the other side of that wall. So that sort of steered me away from joining the Marine Corps. I was like, that doesn't sound very awesome. But I recognize the Marines as a very steadfast, and there was that iconic dragon slaying commercial with the sword, and like that was always the commercial that was played when I was a kid. Like that's a Marine, you know?
Yeah, so, I recall that now. The reason I joined the Marine Corps is I wasn't going anywhere in life. Like I wasn't a very good kid in high school. I was into drugs and alcohol, and I didn't care for school. In the Twin Cities. Okay. Northwest side of the Twin Cities. And so I thought if I joined the Marine Corps, I'll either be the first to fight and die doing something useful with my life, or they'll straighten me out.
Okay. Yeah. So 2000, that was pre 9/11, obviously. I'm sure they were planning it at that time, but what got you to join the Marine Corps?
Well, just that. I didn't have a direction in life. I saw where it seemed that my friends were going and like my whole crowd was heading, and it just wasn't a place that I was looking forward to. And I did not enjoy school at all. I didn't think I'd go to college. If I did go to college, I wouldn't have done very well in it, at least pre-Marine Corps. So after joining, and like I said, I either die in combat, which didn't happen, or they would straighten me out, and they straightened me out. And I went to college, much different person than I graduated high school. I was very dedicated, like probably overly dedicated. Straight A's my first couple years of college,
So tell me about this. Where did the interest stem from with the Marine Corps? Did you see the news clips for Desert Shield? I know a Marine that he was in one of the tanks leading up to the invasion of the first. Yeah, it was Desert Storm. They were heading to Baghdad, and they were told to stop. They couldn't do it. It was that they were like, "Yeah, let's do it," and then like that'd be tough. That would rain terror on my mind. Like we couldn't do our job, right?
Yeah,
and that was
exactly.
So you grew up seeing those things on the TV.
Yeah, I wasn't interested at that point in life. I think maybe what interested me the most is that it was a challenge, and it seemed to be the most difficult challenge of the services. Mm-hmm. And I was always up for challenging myself. Okay. So I was, I don't have any great stories on a close relative that served and I looked up to him, or I didn't know anybody in the service at all. Say again?
First generation military?
Well, I had 2 grandfathers in the military that I didn't really know. They passed away when I was two or younger. And then I had an uncle that was in the military, but he lived in a different state. So yeah, I didn't grow up with anybody I knew really in the military. I had like 40 second kin relatives. I had one other that joined the Air Force and almost made it through boot camp.
What sports did you play in?
Sports?
Yeah.
Growing up, baseball. Yeah,
what position?
That was my sport. I tried other ones, but baseball was my thing. I liked all the positions. Started as a catcher when I was like 6 years old, and then I was a pitcher, shortstop, outfielder, first base. I think shortstop is probably where I spent the most of my time in baseball. Did you play sports?
A little bit. In the summertime, a little bit of baseball. Nothing on a team in my school. I grew up on the reservation, but
what reservation did you grow up on?
Spirit Lake, North Dakota.
Oh, okay.
Yeah. Growing up in the Twin Cities here. What was your coaches like? Did your coaches provide that, or what was your home life?
Oh my gosh,
trying to find that spark that led you to the Marine Corps. Like what it has, like where does it stem from?
Oh, it's funny. I really don't. I haven't identified a spark that got me in. No, my coaches were really good people. I was generally on the worst team in the league.
Like the Mighty Ducks? Or
you're right. Yeah, except we didn't win the championship.
Okay, got it.
The two things that I'm grateful for about that, though, is I got really used to losing, and I learned how to have fun losing.
How to not quit.
Oh, yeah. Well, that too. And I've carried that throughout life. Like I play sports now still all the time, and I have a great time whether we win or lose, and other people don't. Other people, it ruins their day if they lose. So, yeah, I'm grateful for the opportunity to lose most of my baseball games growing up. Second cool thing that stemmed from that is I was usually an all-star player on the team, and I got sent to the All-Stars. It's probably because my team was terrible, not because I was that great, but it was really, really good opportunity.
So you grew up in that attitude. You want to talk about your home life a little bit?
Yeah.
Parents and...
Yeah, good parents. Parents are still together, still
awesome.
Alive.
That's awesome.
50-some years of marriage.
Mine too.
Oh, really?
Yeah.
Oh, good for you. Good for them. Congratulations.
So you grew up
that's not common these days.
No, it's not. It's my marriage survived 5 years. So, but that's a different story. Yeah. So you had the dinner table every evening, home by dark.
Yeah, my dad was a crane operator. He had a very, very rigid schedule. So he left before I woke up in the mornings, and he was usually home at 3 p.m. and took a nap, drank another pot of coffee, and then
crane or grain?
Crane operator.
All right, so he's 49er.
49er, yeah. He did that for 37 years.
Wow, dang.
His dad was the same. So it's cool. There's a lot of history that they've both been a part of here in the Twin Cities. We go to I remember my dad working on the Mall of America when it was being built.
That's awesome.
Yeah, and then they kept the plate there from the original Twin Stadium back in the 70s, which his dad helped build that stadium and put the plate in place.
Right. Did you want to join? So you grew up with a blue-collar dad. What'd your mom do?
A couple different jobs. Most of my childhood, she was a school cook. So she was
great food.
Yeah, great food. Oh yeah, she still makes great food, and she was super well loved. She's the really nice and jolly lunch lady. So all of my friends loved my mom. Downside for me is if I got in trouble, my mom was right there. Which happened. Well, that and then shouting my name across the lunchroom when she's excited to see me. Yeah, right. So yeah, great childhood. A lot of fishing and hunting growing up. We spent most weekends on the lakes in the summertime, and playing baseball.
So the operating, I was with the Carpenters Union here, and before that, I was able to work as an excavator operator with Ames on the reservation back home. Huge bridge job.
Okay.
Because the water kept rising, and the roads were always going under, and the guys were furious that I wasn't a 49er. but they were offering local workers to join the company.
Okay.
And
why were they furious that
you're
you weren't?
49er? I'm like, what's that? And they lost their minds. And I'm like, well,
because you were operating the
because
excavator?
I was a non-union operator. But I just started, and well, as a combat engineer, we got taught how to run all the equipment. So I applied, and I kept showing up at the same time. And then I showed up on a day where a guy he put a vibro pack on the side. He tipped it over, and so I happened to be in there, my 5th day in a row. The superintendent comes out. He's like, "Who are you?" I'm like, "I'm Joseph Yankton. I'm here to apply." And he's like, "Yeah, he's been showing up the last 4 days. He showed up 4 days in a row." Like, yeah. And he's like, "Give me that paper." And he snaps his fingers and grabs. He's like, "You gonna do this?" He shows me the thing, and the thing is on his side. I'm like, "No, sir." He's like, "Can you start tonight?" I'm like, "Yep." He's like, "All right, you're on the overnight shift." And they're like, "Get him his stuff," and he storms out. And operating equipment it was like a dream, and if you could send your dreams out into like manifestation land. Well, as a kid, I grew up watching equipment all my life and seeing those huge excavators and just seeing like that's the coolest machine you can run, right? Like the big arm and stuff, just like and then I was able to do it. And
I just bought one of those yesterday.
Excavator?
Yeah. I'm excited to learn how to use it now.
Oh man, dude, it's awesome. There was a time where we had wear steel on the bucket welded, and I was sitting on a perch digging out, and I had trucks coming in, and I was loading trucks. It was a 345 Cat, and so every now and again I have to beep at the bulldozer to push the spoil away, because trucks would go further and further out, and you can't just keep extending your arm, and I was gonna do it, and then the truck pulled up and was like, okay, whatever. So I swing out and I start pushing the arm out, and I felt the whole machine just started tipping forward. I was like, and I just pulled back on both sticks, and it pivoted, it paused, and then the machine just like sat back down. I was like, I just pulled the arm all the way in, and I grabbed the mic. "We need a bulldozer. You need to scrape that." I almost tipped the whole machine off the ledge and into the dump truck. Yeah, because the weight. Like I scooped a big bucket.
A big machine. Like, what does that weigh? Like 345.
I have no idea. It was, but
I'm guessing it's like 80,000 pounds or more.
And so I know crane operating standards are like some of the highest. Like that's like tier 1 operator skill level, like crane, because you're responsible for everything. You're responsible for the load, how it gets hooked. Even though someone else is doing it, you're still responsible for it. Like, so that's like ultimate responsibility. So that was your dad.
Yeah, his first maybe 15 years, he was in a boom crane, so he was looking up. He ended up with a herniated disc in his neck.
Yeah, those seats are like angled.
Yeah. So then they put him in a tower crane for his next 20 years, where he looked down the rest of his life. But yeah, you'd take a Tide bottle to work with him and carry that up, because that was his restroom. He'd climb the ladder at 5 a.m. and be anywhere from, I don't know, tens of feet to hundreds of feet off the ground, or even 100 feet off the top of a skyscraper, and just live up there from 6 a.m. to 3 p.m. or 2 p.m. every day.
Did you ever take a camera? Do you have photos? Nothing?
No, nothing.
Oh, man. Did you tell you any stories?
No, good. No, nothing exciting. And I know he never had an accident.
Awesome. So that's awesome.
That's really awesome. 37 years. Yeah, he was a really good operator. Other companies would lease him from his employer for tight jobs or more difficult work.
So, did you get into construction a little bit because your dad was in it at all?
No, I don't think so. My dad was interested in me getting into construction, but I saw how hard he worked, and I was interested in not putting myself through sitting in a crane for that many hours. The hours I shared are probably far from accurate, because overtime was pretty common. He would get maybe 2 days off here, like Thanksgiving Day and Christmas Day. I think that was it.
Yeah, the union sucks.
Labor Day, I bet.
Right.
Yeah, it was almost nothing for that long. It was finally like 35 years in, he took a week off to take a vacation.
So how old are you?
43.
You're 43. Wow, you do not look 43. Okay. I'm 39.
I mean, I'm 37.
Okay, there he is. Yeah. And like my dad's 80, he's going to be 85. I was adopted when they were in their 40s. But when I stopped hanging around my stupid friends and my poor influences, I was so happy to have a family, or at least a man that has been responsible, that provided a framework that I could look back on and be like, okay, how do I be a man? Like, what does that mean to be a man and grow up? And so I just look at all those examples of what my dad did. And so I'm asking, after the Marine Corps, seeing that family life you had, how did that guide you into creating 23rd Veteran as a framework of what responsibility and like being a man should be?
Sure. Definitely the work ethic was there from my parents. They definitely, hey, look at this, the house cat. My parents had such good work ethic and just really good people all the way around, and that led a lot into everything I do in life. I learned from them.
Because as you know, like the veteran community is so broad, like it's you can't assume that they had a similar childhood to yours at all. It could be
like my parents' childhood.
Yeah, like our childhood. Like it's they could be from broken families. They could be, like it's a wide variety.
You're saying the veteran community is broad,
so
like everybody's grew up differently. Yeah, I'm extremely fortunate for the situation I grew up in, and I took that for granted growing up. So I didn't realize how great my parents were until I was probably like young 30s, and got to learn about a lot of other parents who were not so great.
So you want to say that again? Be like, hey, mom, dad, you're great. Thank you.
Yeah. Oh, yeah. I don't remind them enough. I do at times, but not enough. They're still extremely supportive. They come to everything I do. They travel across the country to do events and do fundraising events, and just right now so I live a couple hours from where we are here. They're up at my place watching the dog, so I can be down here.
Oh, awesome. What kind of dog?
I have a British lab. He's like
his name?
the fat head and thick tail style lab. His name's Dexter.
Dexter.
Yeah.
Oh, man. Good name.
Super happy dog.
Yeah.
And then my better half has a pit bull mix. So we got 2 dogs now.
Nice. Do you have any siblings?
Just one brother.
Just one brother.
Yeah.
What do he do?
What does he do?
Yeah.
He does some really cool stuff. He got into television and video work like right out of high school. He got a 2-year degree in graphic design, and he's been managing television stations around the Twin Cities.
Okay.
And he does the engineering for him now, just all the putting all the things together that need to be put together. So he's no longer behind the camera. But he also does replay, and he's really good, like world class in replay for sports. So like when you're watching a basketball game, and every couple seconds they show the replay of like a dunk or a shot or something, they've got someone like him
doing the
sitting,
little
they're spinning, hitting buttons, spinning knobs, and then while they're not showing replays, they're building out the highlight reels. So when it cuts to commercial, you can see the few highlights right before you cut to commercial. And he got a job which in that world is considered to be like the cream of the cream in WWE.
Okay.
So he travels the world now with WWE, and on top of his other replay jobs and engineering the cities.
Is he older?
So he's currently in Saudi Arabia. He's older. He's a couple years older.
Okay.
Yeah.
So that would have been, he graduated in what?
99.
99? Okay.
98. 98. Yeah.
So there was, I think I graduated in 2004, but we grew up with Jurassic Park. You guys were a little older than me, but like that era of what was pop culture, that I think that peaked personally what I think was like the best childhood. And so the technology would have been relatively new. The internet just showed up. That would have been a wild time to get into all that and all the new technology innovations and being able to learning how to stream versus just air, sending the TV.
And going to graphic design at that time when like the graphic design platforms were so rudimentary.
Oh my gosh.
Oh, it's a nice guy. You are sweet. His college that teaches that actually closed down like a few years after he was there because they just went irrelevant. But learning Dreamweaver from an 800-page book on how to program a website. Today everything's just drag and drop, and you have a website, or you just ask AI for it, and then you have it.
Yeah. I took keyboarding classes. Did
Like typing keyboarding?
Yeah, we had to
I did that in college. Yeah, I learned how to type in college. Yeah.
So did you have a computer when you graduated? A PC? Like Ferris Bueller? You had a...
So my parents got one when I was like probably in 8th grade.
Okay. I know we're bouncing all over, but this is...
Yeah, when I was in the Marine Corps, I had a computer. That was really cool. We had the dial-up internet still, and learned how to do some rudimentary hacking. I'd like print things on my parents' printer from California.
Man, so the printer we had, my dad was a telephone company guy, and so...
Your dad was a telephone company guy?
Yeah, so 36 years telephone, and then we lived on the reservation, and it was... He did his sort of like, he created like a 10-year sort of status, and he was able to bring the company truck to the house and put it, because we had 120 acres of land. And when he ran the construction crew on the res, it went from all aerial to underground. And so they were burying all the big copper lines, the vaults, and our house was the sort of the testing house for internet and fiber on the reservation.
Oh, really?
Because he, Christian, drug-free, alcohol-free. I mean, the childhood I had, being raised by a full-blood native on the reservation, was sort of unicorn status, and I took it for granted. I didn't know how good I had it. I complained. I was a little miserable rat. But anyways, why did I get into that? The industry. We had the loud printers. Remember that? And like they had the perforated edges, and oh my gosh, those things were so noisy. And to print, and then we all had these classroom assignments, and so my dad had, I think it was like Windows 90. Was it Windows 98? I think, yeah, and there was a Word X, whatever Word program.
Sure.
And trying to get it all single space. It was like, my dad was right there getting all the programs, and he had this old guy named Maury in town, and he would take us in town, and he would bring these big towers and stuff, and you go down there, and it was just constantly hot because he had like 10 computers running, no fans, and so it was just hot in this basement, and big old shag carpet. And the dude, he had white hair. He was like this old hack. He was this old, but he knew all the stuff. Like, it was really
I'm picturing like Doc from Back to the Future.
Kinda. I'm serious.
In that 70s show.
Yeah, he's like this little mad professor, but he was so quiet and kind. And my dad was just there, learning from him all this computer stuff. And so yeah, the computer stuff in the late 90s was. If I would have known better, I would have been like, you need to pay attention to this and get in on this because it's going to be big. If you get good at it now, you can get ahead of the curve, and then you can ride it. But I didn't care about stuff like that. Being ADD, it was just like, I think it went from Nintendo 64 to girls. Okay, no more gaming. But what did your parents say when you told them you were joining the Marines?
I had to convince them. I was 17 when I wanted to sign up, so I had to have the recruiter come over to the house. They had to sign their son's life away.
Do you
my
remember
mom
his name?
talks about how difficult. That's one of the most difficult things she's done in her life. I asked her that recently, and she answered.
Well, do you remember the recruiter's name?
Gunny Nimrov. Yeah.
Wow, Gunny Nimrod. Do you think is he still around?
He was out of the Coon Rapids. I think he went up to North Dakota recruiting for a while, and then I bumped into him in Japan, and like 2 years in the Marine Corps.
How weird is that?
Oh yeah,
like
it was weird. And he's invited me over to like the staff NCO barracks. I'm like, Gunny, I don't think I can do that. I'm like PFC here.
Oh man. So you enlisted right out of high school. You graduated in 99 or 2000?
I graduated in 2000. Yeah,
Okay.
I graduated. I think I did my walking ceremony on a Thursday. Okay. Sunday, I was on my way to California.
And what school was it here?
Coon Rapids High School.
Coon Rapids High School. Yeah. Okay.
So my assistant principal at the time, his name was Mike Farley. Now he's the principal in Anoka. Super military and law enforcement friendly. And the ruck marches that we run for fundraisers in 23rd Veteran, now we're doing it at Anoka High School, and Mike Farley is like the main point of contact there. So it's really cool. So 25 years later, I get to work with the person that would get me in trouble 25 years ago because I was a little shit in high school. And now he's a huge supporter of the organization and what we do.
When is that event this year? is coming
That's coming up September 6th for the Twin Cities Ruck March, yeah.
So I just moved to Blaine, so I'll be able to,
Yeah, you're right there.
I was in...
Are you coming by?
I would love to, yeah. I also earned the Blue Cord. So I was 11B after my 12B, but I did like a gentleman's course, which is weird. I can tell you how kind of soft and...
I don't know what the Blue Cord means.
Oh, that's the Army Infantry. So if you're 12B and you got you're slotted as like rifleman, grenadier, mortarman, whatever, as long as you're in the unit.
In the Navy?
In the Army.
Oh,
so,
okay.
Yeah, it's the Army
So
Blue Cord.
I thought I heard you say Navy.
So yeah.
Okay.
Blue Cord is the symbolism of the infantry.
Okay.
So,
good to know.
And then they say all the jokes like, why did God make the sky blue? Because God loves the infantry, kind of whatever. But so I know how to ruck. I've climbed a couple mountains, so I need that training. And I wanted to do the naked ruck march up in Duluth a few years ago.
Yep.
But my wife at the time, ex-wife, she's like, the naked ruck march? No, you're not doing that. I'm like, it's not. They're not doing it naked. I mean, so, but I remember hearing about it.
Yeah, we changed the name because it was just widely misunderstood.
Yeah, well, it was definitely
naked.
misunderstood by...
Nearly naked for a while. And the purpose for that, we started this ruck in like 2016 in February in northern Minnesota. Mm-hmm. So it's like -10, -15 degrees, and everybody was wearing long underwear or shorts. Mm-hmm. They're doing a ruck march like that, just freezing weather. So nearly naked made sense. And then we started expanding. We're doing it in the Twin Cities and St. Cloud. We go down to California. We do it in San Diego, Los Angeles. And people are wearing the same clothes they normally wear. And they're asking, like, why is this nearly naked? And then we go out to Philadelphia. We're getting the same questions. So we just spent so much time explaining why the name is what the name is. Like, that's pretty valuable time we could use doing something different. So now we do Ruck Life.
Okay.
Yeah. Same event, new name. Right. Ruck Life.
So do you wear the Ranger panties?
I don't. I had a pretty significant injury in the Marine Corps that's caught up to me, so I don't ruck anymore.
Okay.
I hike as much as I can. I do CrossFit workouts, but I modify them for my back. I broke my back as a martial arts instructor. And during the training, it was actually the final day of the training for the martial arts instructor. I broke my lower back.
Yeah, the Marine Corps has they have something none of the other branches have. They have their belt colors.
Yeah.
That you can talk about that?
Yeah, they call it MCMAP. They started that when I was in, I think it was like 2000, 2001, MCMAP came out. It's Marine Corps Martial Arts Instructor Program.
That's awesome.
I think instructor's not in MCMAC. Marine Corps Martial Arts Program is MCMAP. And yeah, everybody that goes through boot camp now, I think after 2001, gets a tan belt. Mm-hmm. They have basic hand-to-hand combat training. And then most infantry units will try to get everybody up to at least a green belt, which is just more advanced training. As an instructor, you get like an extra little ribbon that you have on your belt that says what kind of instructor you were. And I was a green belt instructor, which means I had a brown belt level training plus the instructor training.
Okay. So, yeah. Did you have the BDUs or did you have the first gen Digis?
Yeah, both. So we had the BDUs until just before going to Iraq. They came out with Digis, green ones. That was back when everything was green still. All of our Humvees and everything was green. And we were proud of that in the Marine Corps. It's like, yeah, we had these different uniforms, and we were told, I don't know if it was true or not on the higher end, but we were told the Marine Corps wanted different uniforms. So we wanted these digital camouflage. And there's little Eagle Globin anchors.
Right, yeah.
Yeah, every so often. So that's how you can
it's
tell.
It's a patented design.
Yeah, which ones are the Marine ones.
I was so jealous as a young guy seeing this, because image is kind of big to me. I was like, they got new uniforms. What's happening? They look so cool.
And the rest of the services went to it, and then we got
man,
they're taking that.
Okay.
But when we went to Iraq, we were issued one pair of tan uniforms, and those were the
desert
style. Yeah, the old desert. Yeah, that was not the digital, but it was kind of weird. I mean, we had our tan uniforms, but we still had black boots.
Right.
We had green flak jackets and LBVs. Everything was green.
Baskin Robbins.
Yeah.
Just mismatch.
Yeah, all of our vehicles are green.
Yeah, I think the movie Jarhead, at least from a soldier's perspective of not, being in the Marine Corps, showed a believable scene when it came to the uniform, They had the black boots, they had the chocolate chip pattern uniforms, and they had, they're just a mishmash of whatever was available. There was no like matching stuff, and it was.
I watched that probably 15 years ago that came out, and I do remember thinking like, wow, that was like accurate.
Yeah, like, you got some accurate info on that.
Anyway, that was accurate. Yeah. I thought the same thing about Battle LA, Marines versus Aliens.
Yeah, that was decent.
I go to watch that movie, and I don't think it was in the theater. I think I saw it afterwards. It's not really my style of movies, but I was watching it, and I noticed like how accurate the uniforms were. And then I looked closer. I'm like, man, these uniforms are really accurate, like down to where the compass goes on my uniform when I wore one. And then I hear them say, "Retreat hell." That was the motto for my Marine Corps infantry unit, 2-5, retreat hell. It was something Chesty Puller said. So I did some research. So they actually used 2-5 Marines in Battle LA.
Dude,
he's like,
awesome.
So he's like, my guys are in there fighting aliens. Like, it's pretty sweet. So now there's some jokes that because 2-5's in LA again battling. So I won't vocalize that joke.
Right.
We'll skip it.
No, it was entertaining. I did enjoy watching that. That was pretty neat. And then the actor that comes to mind is the one that plays Two-Face in Batman.
Okay.
He's the
Harvey Walls.
Yeah, Harvey. Yeah. So you got. What did your dad say about joining the Marines?
I mean, they were proud. They did it. They signed me up.
Right.
They were supportive in that aspect, but at the same time, they really, really held back. It was really hard for them. I know my mom was
pre-war.
crying.
There was no active deployments happening. This was after.
Sure.
After Desert Storm.
And at the very least, like, they know I'm leaving, leaving home. Like, that's hard for any parent, I think.
So in 2000,
so looking
Bush,
back at that, go ahead.
No, Clinton was president. Oh, wait, who was president when you got in?
That was still Clinton, yes. Okay. Bush, I think, right? He was elected in 2002.
So Somalia.
No,
after Somalia,
he was elected at the end of 2001. Okay. My gosh, 2000. Because 2001, he was president during 9/11. So I think Bush was. I don't know. We should do this math.
Right. So
we're not recording.
So anyways, like I'm just trying to think about like a parent perspective. Like, obviously there was a Somalia conflict.
It was definitely.
And the Marines were in there, and then the Rangers afterwards, and that kind of stuff. So I try to put myself into these storylines, but like, how would I react in that situation with the surrounding environment of what was happening? And I mean, you probably have this outlook of you don't know what's going to happen, so there might be no conflict right now, but my son is joining for 4 years. It's very possible he could be in something within that time frame. So, that's.
And I was joining the Marine Corps Infantry.
Yeah. And then so tell us about the infantry school that he goes to, because you have all the Marines do. They all get taught how to fight. Every Marine is a war fighter.
Every Marine's an infantryman. Yeah.
Infantryman, and then there's those who go 0311. There's a special school.
Rifleman's the word. Yeah, every Marine's a rifleman.
Right.
Yep, and there's a special school. So every Marine will also go to a special school after boot camp, depending on what your job is. And there's a special school just for infantry. Yeah. So, SOI, School of Infantry.
So was there anything significant with yours? Like, was there?
That was the first time we got to like blow up a claymore. That was pretty cool. I've got stories from School of Infantry. The significance at the time was, one, we got time off on the weekends, and that was wild. Like for months in the Marine Corps boot camp, like there's 0 time off. We get one phone call halfway through.
Is it still at San Diego?
Yeah. Okay. So there's 2 different locations you can go: Camp Lejeune in Carolinas, or San Diego, or you call a Hollywood Marine going to San Diego. Most of your time you're in San Diego. Some of your time you're up at Camp Pendleton when you're doing like range week. You're up at Camp Pendleton. I think we spent 3 weeks up there, maybe 4.
Did your DIs have like combat experience?
I don't know. They don't share. I don't know if any DIs do, but ours definitely don't share things like that. Like, you don't get to know your DI personally at all.
Okay.
Or anything about them.
We had some very salty drill sergeants that they had combat patches and stuff, and one was, the story, the way it went was, he was so mad at us, his anger stemmed from the Army. Instead of sending him to a deployment with the unit that he was with, he got slotted for drill sergeant He's drill sergeant school. And so he's like, I have to be here with you maggots. And like, we're like, sorry.
Yeah, there was, I never learned anything about any of them in all that time we spent together.
Really?
Yeah.
Wow.
Nothing
okay.
about their history or other service in the Marine Corps. Yeah.
So
I'm sure it's intentional.
There's this notion, rumor, that the Marines are sort of brainwashed in a military manner versus the other branches of training. It's different. It's a different doctrine that's implemented as a instructor. So like two different schools. Like there's the Marine Corps school of teaching warfighters, and then there's the Army.
Sure.
The other end.
Yeah, I could believe that. Because
it seems to produce. I mean, the U.S. Marine is a whole different creature.
Yeah, everything at boot camp is designed around getting you comfortable killing people and being in a killing environment. Absolutely. Even like we carry a glass of water in the chow hall, you have to yell live grenade the entire time you're carrying a glass of water. At any time throughout boot camp, at any moment, the drill instructor can just scream grenade and everybody has to dive and take cover. Like often to go into the chow hall, we all line up and we have to count off and make sure everybody's there and everything. And then the final thing is everybody has to yell, kill, kill, kill. Mm-hmm. And that usually comes after what makes the grass glow, and everybody yells blood.
What makes the green grass grow?
Yeah, what makes green grass glow? Yeah,
blood, blood in my enemies.
Once you execute into the chow hall, it's kill, 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 and you go through as fast as you can. It's crazy how fast you can get food in you. Like I had no idea, and I still eat halfway like that. I try not to, but like the leader of the platoon will sit down first, and with their food. And by the time they stand up, the entire platoon has to stand up and be leaving. So the last person might only get like 20 seconds to try to eat. And we're hungry as heck.
Did things sort of taper off a little bit? Like, did you get a little more privilege where you earned,
maybe like the last couple days.
Okay, all right. So it was pretty standard.
Yeah.
Okay, they were on you.
Yeah.
Like okay, they were.
Yeah, and then when you're in San Diego, at least for Hollywood Marines, for the first 8 weeks over there, there's no cursing. They treat you a little bit differently. And then as soon as you get to Camp Pendleton, where I think it's 4 weeks you do at Pendleton, beyond rifle range week, we also do a lot of hiking around the mountains there. We have the Crucible there. Things open up a little bit. There's a lot more cursing. There's ways that people are punched, like, I don't know how to say that, secretly. a little more physical pain brought in, and yeah, it's just a different environment. So they increase, they even get harder on you as you go. But then yeah, they instill more trust after the Crucible. That's where you're on the top of this big hill. They're playing Lee Greenwood and got a big American flag, and everybody gets their Eagle Globe and Acre who's made it that far, and you're called a Marine. And then they start treating you with more respect. But you only have maybe a week left in boot camp. Yeah.
Well. Looking back, hindsight is if you can't survive, thrive, and endure a level of training and environment that's created by people who want you to succeed, they want you to pass this. Mm-hmm. We're on your side, but if you can't put up with us, there's no way you're going to put up with the enemy.
Sure.
And like that weeding out the wheat and the chaff is it's hard to perceive when you're in the moment of the weeding because you're questioning maybe yourself. At least I was. Was there any moments for you where you like, this is not for me? Or did you have friends that quit, drop on request or whatever it is?
It's funny, you can't really do that in the Marine Corps.
Okay.
You can't drop. It's like, it is so much more scary to try to drop than it is just to do what
because you get more attention.
Want you to do. I would say if I were to try to request that in some manner, which I never would have done, the entire platoon would probably be thrashing in the sand for 45 minutes, so they're going to beat the crap out of me that night for doing that.
Yeah, there's that. Yep. Success as a group, and you fail as a group.
Yeah, and it's scary to even get injured. Like if you sprain your ankle and you can't continue, well, they stick you in sick bay where you're still in boot camp. And you get held back until you're healed, and then you get picked up with a new platoon. You don't know anybody, and you're still in the same place you were, except you extended your stay in this hellhole for another month. And that's what it feels like while you're there. Like what's wild is it seems like the rest. And combat was like this for me too, or even just being in Kuwait before combat. It becomes to where everything else in memory is just a dream, and this is the only reality. And like going home is just a dream. Like that's not even something that exists. And you don't want to be in, and it's not, I mean, a nightmare is probably a better explanation. I don't want to scare people from going through it though, because I think it's extremely beneficial. But it's not a place that you want to stay longer than you have to.
Right.
Yeah.
So
Leaving, there was one Marine in our platoon that dropped. And it wasn't by his choice. He tried really hard and he wanted to stay, and he was mentally slow. He was physically slow. He couldn't handle it. They moved him from our platoon to a different platoon, and ended up exiting him from the Marine Corps before he got his EGA.
Dang. Well, at least you can say he tried. He did his best. You know,
yeah, he definitely did.
That's you cannot. There's a. He was in the ring and he did it. You know, I hate the commenters. I'm like, oh well, I would have. Like, no, you would have nothing because you didn't. You would have did nothing. Like you can't put yourself in the past and say anything against those who did. But so we're diving into the psychology bit, and I was fascinated watching your videos talking about psychology. It's something that I've wrestled with. I've had to battle my own inner demons on my growth, trying to figure out why I am the way I am. And man, you got to rewind that clock. I'm like, nope, no, it's further than that. Why was I? No, it's further than that. Okay, nope. And so when you decided to get out, what was the first moment you're like, okay, something's not right? Like this, because it would have been 2004. I deployed to Iraq in 2005. I joined in 2003. So I understand the environment of what was happening at the time. And it was the beginning. We didn't know how long it was going to. We were after, our job was look for roadside bombs, but Saddam wasn't captured yet.
The heck of a job.
And the whole idea of weapons of mass destruction was, that's why we're going. Saddam has weapons of mass destruction. Okay.
And so that was 2005? Is it?
Yeah, so with the whole bit, and I graduated basic training in 2004, and the drill sergeants had this clipboard on the battle wall on the platoon floor, and every time a soldier was killed, print out. And that thing was that thick when we got done, man. It was, we got to see that we were going to, like, this was actually happening, like, and they brought us in, they made us watch both of the decapitation videos.
Oh, wow.
And we're like, of those reporters. And we're like, they brought us in 3 at a time, and just played it, laptop, whatever, and we're like, and it didn't look real, because we've seen death on TV in the movies. We've seen the Hollywood version of what death looks like, and to see it actually, so the real looked fake, you know, because we've been conditioned to see and experience something else, and we've accepted that something else as, no, that's real. We've never seen what real is, and so we don't know how to react to it.
If you want war stories on the podcast, I can talk about a little bit of, you know, what changed my brain.
Yeah.
You know, what those experiences were like, and then I can talk about how I realized it later down the road.
Yeah, definitely.
And I don't normally tell war stories. Actually, the organization I run, that's one of our rules, is that we don't tell them, even in our psychology programs, and we can get into that and why we do that. But I had, I'll talk about 2 different types of trauma that I had in the Marine Corps. One was related to love. So I fell in love at the end of high school, my high school sweetheart. And I was one of those nerdy kids. House cat's back. We don't know the cat's name.
No.
Call you Kitty. So I was one of those nerdy kids. I was ugly, dorky, didn't know how to talk to girls. And when I fell in love with someone who also fell in love with me, I felt really hard. Like, that was a really cool experience. So I joined the Marine Corps right after that happened. So I was madly in love, like my first couple of years in the Marine Corps for sure. And we ended up getting married in 2002. She lived with me for a while throughout the summer, and then she moved back to Minnesota for school in the fall. Well, December, I come home for 15 days of leave. And at the time, I was the armorer for my company. So I had to check in all the weapons and check them out, just make sure everything was working. So being in that position, I had to I had a little bit of inside knowledge. I knew that we were going to be deployed to Kuwait when we got back from Christmas leave.
What time was this?
This was December of 2002.
Okay.
So that was weird. Being home, I had 2 weeks home.
December 2000. Okay.
I knew I was being deployed to what might be the first war, like large war in a decade, and I couldn't tell anybody, and I couldn't tell my wife. Being at the airport, being at MSP, and at the time, family was able to come all the way up to the gate still to see people off. So I'm giving hugs to my parents and my in-laws, and gave my wife a kiss, knowing that it might be the last time I ever see her, and I couldn't tell her that. So that was really difficult. And then getting back to California, got prepared, packed up everything I owned. I planned on dying when I went to combat, and I'm glad that I did that because I was able to completely focus while I was there, and I never had fear while I was there.
Expect the worst, hope for the best, kind of.
Yeah. I definitely trained for the worst, expect the worst, hope for the best is always there. So I packed up everything I owned. I put it in a storage unit, put my address on it, shipped her the key, and said, "By the way, I'm going to Kuwait." I remember having that phone call with her on January 30th of 2003 as we deployed. So I get to Kuwait February 1st, and there was no mail system. There was no phones at the time. Definitely nothing that would work on a satellite. There was a satellite phone in our battalion, but it's not something that we could use. And
Corporal needs to make a phone call. Like, so?
Yeah. It was like Red Cross messages only. Was what that was for. I don't know anybody that actually used it. Mail system wasn't set up yet. There wasn't bases. We just took out our pickaxes and shovels, and we dug some holes, and we put a piece of plywood over the top of them because there were a lot of missiles going from Iraq to Kuwait City at the time, going overhead. So we lived in these holes from February 1st until about March 15th. And about that time, the mail system got set up, and we were getting letters. I went and helped do the mail sorting because I was so excited. I was writing home every single day. I'd write to my wife every day. I'd write to my family every day. And there's just that lack of communication is something that most people in America will never experience, and it's wild. And my heart goes out to those throughout history that have had to experience that, and especially the parents that have to experience that. So this mail's coming in, I'm helping sort it, and finally I see the return address with my wife's name on it, and I get excited. Well, the to address isn't to me. So she was a school teacher, and she had the kids write letters to all of our friends, and she was sending me packages, and the packages weren't set up yet. So here I'm like seeing my wife's name over and over and handing the letters to someone else, so I never got that communication from her. And that was difficult. And so this is one of the types of trauma I'm talking about, is this emotional trauma. On March 19th, this in the U.S. is when Bush declared war. 21st is when we were crossing the border. We heard it on the BBC, so we had this little radio on the BBC.
Birds.
Yep. So we're crossing the border. I'm manning a Mark 19 at the time, just me on top of a Humvee, and I remember just trying to take in the feelings I had, the emotions I had. I was like, wow, this is a once-in-a-lifetime experience for sure, and most people don't get to experience what is it like to actually go to war. And
to train and then be sent according to your training on the lines and being expected to fulfill everything that you were trained for.
Yeah, and we were, so in that part we were kind of excited about. And we were excited to, a lot of us were excited to be Marines, to be in combat. We spent, so the way I can like position this, a good analogy is like a football team. If you imagine like your favorite football team, all of a sudden they don't get to play football for 3 years and they only get to train. They're in training camp for 3 years.
What if
other people
kills
are
you?
playing football. Yeah. And they're just, and by the time you actually get to go play a game of football, like you're so excited to see what your training can do and like how good you can be. So we were excited about that point. And what was interesting is I didn't feel fear. Like I was like, wow, like I'm not scared at all. It was a lot of emotions, a lot of things that are difficult to explain and probably even difficult to remember because it's been 22 years now.
So how does the Marine Corps, how did you deploy? I mean, so the Army has platoons, companies, battalions, brigades, divisions. What is the Marine, how did you deploy as a group? Or
Sure. So it's about 1,000 in a battalion.
Okay.
Our battalion is generally going together no matter where we go. The smaller units would be
company from there. It was about 300, a platoon, which is around 60, 80 people. Those are the ones that you know the most. Your platoon are the people that you spend every day, and you're always in the same barracks, you're always doing everything together. For our battalion, we take one of our infantry companies and we give it to the tanks.
Okay.
And then the tanks take
armor.
One of their tank companies, they give it to us. So then we kind of just cross-pollinate like that, so that we have a mix of weaponry and specialties, and that's called, if I remember right, it's Marine Expeditionary Unit.
MEU.
Yeah. MEU. At least that's what it's called when we're in Japan. I don't remember as much. I think it was called something different when we're in Iraq. Anyhow. Yeah, so the tanks were the first ones to go across the border. We had this machine that shot rockets out with a cable full of C4. So I don't know how far it would go, maybe a quarter mile, and then the cable would fall and the C4 would explode on the ground, so it would take out any landmines along the border.
So you had the volcano system, which
is that what that's called?
So the volcanoes were the instant minefield ones, and then you had the Bangalore torpedo is the one you manually put together and you push through like the concertina wire, and then it'll. Oh. And they talked about the one that you speak of. Mm-hmm. Yeah, that's an engineer thing. That's awesome.
Okay.
Yeah, and you got to see that?
I didn't see it. No,
Oh.
I just knew it was happening.
Okay.
I didn't watch it happen. I was a little further back from it, and so that happened. And then there was an Iraqi army on the Iraqi side, and they all surrendered immediately. The only people that didn't surrender were the generals. I was told Saddam was holding their families hostage, and if they surrendered or if they failed, then their families would be murdered. So we ended up finding their families later on, starting in Al-Basra. So there were some generals that shot it. They were just committing suicide by shooting at us, and it was a very effective way to commit suicide. It didn't take long at all for us to shoot back. So my 21st birthday was March 22nd. It was my first full day in Iraq, and that we were taking enemy prisoners of war, and they were like grateful for us. The majority of the Iraqis, we even had Iraqis that clearly had no military experience coming up to us and saying they were in the military, so that we would put them behind the wire. Like, it was much more safe to be behind our concertina wire than in front of it. And they get food, they get water, they get tents. So.
How do you, at the time, how did you rationalize that behavior of your enemy soldiers are grateful to be sort of in your camp, and there's no hatred, there's no visceral, like what we were told about, the other wars, like Vietnam and the Korean War, and then World War II, the Germans, like, no, your enemy, you don't, like, even when you're captured, when we're captured, we're given strict orders on how to, evade, resist, all the, you don't become friendly with your captors.
Yeah.
Yeah, you hate them, you fight them, kill them, and you escape.
Yeah, I have, I guess, two comments on that. One is it was just an eye-opening early experience of what we found throughout Iraq and how grateful the Iraqis were that we were there. Whether they were in the military or not, the majority of people in Iraq absolutely hated Saddam, and they hated what he was doing to the country and doing to them. They weren't allowed to get communications from outside. Like, the communications in the media was completely controlled by Saddam.
So they lived in a bubble.
They lived, in an absolute bubble. Yeah, we even met people whose arms got cut off because they were installing satellite dishes and allowed people to get communication from outside of Iraq. It's pretty unreal. So it was neat to see just how welcoming they were, even the military Iraqis. Now, there were some later on. So this was when we first crossed the border. Later on, we had some battles going across any airfield and crossing the Tigris River and the Euphrates, getting closer to Baghdad. But whenever we were in battles, nobody was in uniform. So,
them.
Yeah,
okay.
The Iraqis. So, and we would hear on the BBC Saddam saying things like, "Well, the Marines will be stopped at the gates of Baghdad. This is where my Red Army is." And every time we approached their army, like, we could find where their armies were staged. Like, there was a lot of equipment there, and we exploded most of it on the way in to make sure that they weren't going to be shooting at us with it. There was helmets and there was uniforms and all kinds of military type stuff, but there was no military members. Anybody shooting at us was generally in white clothing or just civilian clothing. So the military would disperse. A lot of them would become supporters. Some of them would not. Some of them would battle. So I never, besides when we first crossed the border, I never saw an enemy in a uniform for 8 months in Iraq. Yeah, that was interesting.
So I guess that's the first comment I had on that. What was it like having people, surrender and because they wanted to be with the Marines?
Well, America's, as far as I, can speak about it, is generally it's the Christian nation, and so I don't know what an Iraqi citizen, even an Iraqi soldier, would think about American Christians or what they're told about what American Christians are. But I know that Christianity goes beyond borders and boundaries and bubbles even. And I just, when you told me that, I instantly had a thought like, it's because we're Christian. Like there's this Christian army, the American Christian army is coming in. And it'd be fascinating to get their stories and what they thought, of what that moment was like for them and why they surrendered, or like, the life that they were leaving or knew was going to come to an end at some point, and maybe they can experience a better version of life. And so,
when we rolled into Baghdad, it was close to Good Friday. I think that was our second time in Baghdad, actually. I can't recall.
This was 2003 then?
Yes.
Okay, April 2000, okay.
Yeah, so this is like 20 days into the war. And we stayed at the Baghdad College, which was taken over by the military. And so there was a lot of military stuff. And there was actually like this 40-foot missile there that we had pictures of us like hanging out on. And when I look at the history, and that was never talked about. It was talked about like no weapons like that were ever found. They were clearly found. I sat on the dang thing. It's like I pretended it was a horse. So we're in this Baghdad College, and there was a church, a Christian church, right on the other side of like this 10-foot wall. And Good Friday was tomorrow. So myself and some buddies, we jumped this wall, we go over to the church, introduce ourselves. And we got to sit down with the guy who was running the church. He was probably the pastor of it, and his wife. His wife made us some bread, and we had tea with him. It was a really cool experience. We had our weapons in the church, turned upside down, which is unusual. And he moved there from New York with his father in like the late 60s and opened this church and this college.
So he was a missionary?
Maybe, if that's the right word for what he did. I don't know. And then Saddam came into power in the 70s, and he built a wall between the church and the college, and he took the college. And he broke down. That was the first time I saw like a 70-year-old man cry, talking about his life experience and just how terrible it's been living under Saddam's regime and trying to continue his Christianity mission in Iraq for those 30 years. So they were super grateful. And they ended up letting us use the church for Good Friday then, and they did a ceremony just for us, just for the Marines.
Dude, that's awesome.
So I was on the roof during this, providing security. And I remember looking at my buddy and just thinking, I don't know if this is within Geneva Conventions. Can we be on the roof with these loaded weapons, providing security of a church? I don't think we can. Here we are.
Don't get caught. There's not a lot of cameras, but there was some. So
there wasn't any battle at the time. Like I said, most of the Iraqis we ran into while we're at this church too. This was at the same time that Saddam's, I think, nephews were killed. Like they were in some leadership positions, and Bush declared the war being over. And there was an Iraqi coming down the side of the road, just cheering that the war is over and this is America. And he's getting closer and closer, and he looks at me, and he's so excited. He's like, the war's over, America wins. This is America now. I'm like, I'm sorry, America wins, but this is not America. Like, no, this is America. America wins the war. I'm like, yeah, sorry to tell you, sir. This is still Iraq, but America wins. He got mad at me. He's like, no, this is America. Like most of the Iraqis we found were.
Well, if there's.
They would parade us on. They would bring in truckfuls of people. Like semi-trucks. Everybody would just pile in the back just so they can come see the Marines.
The big bongo trucks?
Bongo trucks?
Yeah.
Well, they were like the actual 40-foot semi-trailers, and they just didn't have a lid on the back.
Right, yeah.
Yeah, was that a bongo?
Yeah, bongo truck, like, it could be a dual axle. But yeah, it's just, they're always overloaded. They're just way too much produce just stacked up on it. It's just
that was a thing,
too. It would never go under an underpass. It would just get knocked over.
Yeah. But that was interesting. And then what else was interesting when we came home and watched the news, and like none of that was being showed.
Of course. Yeah, there's a narrative that had to be played.
Line on both sides of the roads as we drove through just to cheer us on.
So if we backpedal a little bit, I want to make sure I ask all my guests this. 9/11, do you remember the day before? And then where were you and all that?
So we were what's called the tip of the spear in the Marine Corps. There's Marine Corps infantry units in Japan and in Germany that have all of the training they need to go into combat. So they usually spend about 1.5 years getting this training, and then you rotate there for 6 months while other Marines are training, and you're always rotating. So the ones with the...
So there's like a QRF presence ready to go?
Yeah,
now.
exactly.
Okay.
So that's where I was in Japan. I was the quick reaction force ready to go in case something happened. And we got woken up in the middle of the night. I don't remember what time. Then we went in this little break room with a little tubular TV, 12-inch TV up in the corner, watching the first tower on fire, and then we watched the second plane hit, and then we watched the towers fall, and it was within 48 hours we had all of our Humvees ready to get on ship, all of our weapons ready to get on ship. We had all of our things packed in our sea bags with our addresses on them. That's probably where I got the idea to do that when I actually went to war. Ready to get shipped home. Well, we had a couple hurricanes move in. They call them typhoons over there in the Pacific, northern Pacific. So the waves were too big for the ships to dock and get us. So instead, they took the Marines from Germany, and they just went and hung out in the Gulf there near Iraq, near the Middle East. They weren't sure at the time where it came from, but they knew it was from the Middle East. The awesome part about that is 30 days later, we still got on ship and we still went and did things, but we got to do enjoyable things. There was some rioting in Indonesia, so we learned non-lethal skills, which is a really cool thing to learn as a Marine, because everything we do is lethal.
Yeah.
So we did non-lethal training. Then we got to get on some helicopters at the UN and go into Indonesia, and we're building schools for kids for an excuse to be there in the area. So we got to sit in...
Right after 9/11, all this was...
Yeah, this was November of 2013, or 2003. Yeah, so Indonesia, and then we had to go to Australia. Did I say? Yeah.
Yeah, 2001. Yep.
Yeah, 2001. Thanks for correcting me. So we had to go to Australia to get supplies so we could go back to Indonesia, do some more construction on the schools for an excuse to be there. The rioting was happening in Jakarta. Never had to extract the ambassador.
What's boat life like for a Marine? Has to be miserable, right? Because
no,
you're not fighting on a ship. That's just your ride, right?
Yeah, it's the most relaxing time in the Marine Corps. By far, our only job is to stay out of the Navy's way. Mm-hmm. There's not huge areas where we can go out and train. So we play spades, we sleep with our seatbelts on, and we go to the chow hall, and we work out.
Seatbelts. Explain seatbelts.
Well, we're sleeping. It's a bunk system, so there's 4 bunks high, and you only have this much space. You have to. It's probably a little more. You can't sit up anywhere near city. You have to lay down to get in,
mm-hmm.
and the ship rocks so much. There's times you're actually using the wall to support yourself as you're walking down the hallway because the ship can be rocking that far. And obviously, you don't want to fall 6 feet off.
All these cots can fold up if necessary. They secure to the wall.
No, they don't. They don't.
Fixed?
No, not where I was anyway. They're all fixed. And
so there's
so the seatbelt did go around you. It went from the bottom side of your cot to the top side of your bunk. So just so it would catch you when you almost fell out. So our job was to stay out of the Navy's way. And what was neat is how lax the Navy is compared to the Marine Corps. So when I wanted to, I could just go wander the ship and just go check things out. That was not a thing in the Marine Corps at all. At least at my level in the infantry, you had to be exactly where you were told to be at all times. Your entire life was that way.
Well, I think there's probably a chain of command. We're okay, they're not ours. They're someone else's. So don't bother them.
Yeah.
They report to somebody else. That not my bobber. Not my fish. Yeah.
Yep. So I went up to the bridge and I was like, hey, can I drive the ship? And they're like, sure, come on in.
You got photos from that? Did you guys have?
No. We had the little zip cameras. I don't have any photos from down ship.
No.
I don't. Yeah. I've never been much of a photo taker of my own experiences.
Did anybody in your unit have pictures? They have communicated with that time? Hey, do you got the photos from that?
A little bit. So I know I have some photos from Australia. I probably picked up a little camera when I was in Australia and took them. I don't have any in Indonesia, any from ship. A couple from Okinawa. Yeah, not much. The ones I brought to Iraq got destroyed in the sandstorm right away.
So you graduated high school in 2000. This is 2001. You're in November. You're in Australia. You're 19, 20, 19?
Yeah, I was 18 when I joined. I turned 19 in 2001. I was 19, at this time when 9/11 happened, when I was in Australia and Japan,
Okay, I was 19 when I deployed too.
Oh, really?
Yeah.
Wow.
Yep. So, I understand it's a wild time. And so, what was did you have a bunch of young guys, or was there an age, like was there senior dudes that? I mean, I'm completely ignorant about Marine Corps life. So.
No, we're mostly young, like corporal and below. So being into the Marine Corps 6 years and less is the majority of the Marines, at least in the infantry. And then your E5s, your sergeants to your staff sergeants, they're going to be in generally between 6 and 15 years, and then just a few people above that. So the entire battalion of 1,000 Marines, and I'm sure I'm not going to get this perfectly accurate. I would say there's 40 people, 40 enlisted people that are above an E6, so E7, 8, and 9.
Right.
Yeah. And they're going to be. The ages at the time, they seemed ancient, but their ages were probably between
30s,
32 and 45.
Oh, man, you're the old man. You're like,
yeah.
Dude, because I just surpassed my 20-year mark for my deployment because I deployed in 05.
Yeah.
And so it's like 20 years ago, I was getting ready to deploy. Like, it's what, June? Yeah, so I volunteered, but I was like, there's a couple guys still in. I'm like, I don't feel like the old guy. I still feel young. I still want to climb mountains. I still want to do all this. Like, so like the mentality of that 19-year-old. And so, okay, so Australia, right, back on topic. What happened after Australia?
I came back to the U.S. So I was in Japan for 6 months, and during some of that time, I was in Australia and Indonesia. So I was back in the U.S. around January 1st of 2002. So came home, got married in May, nice. And then that's early 2003. So a year later, after getting home from Japan, is when we deployed to Kuwait. And it might be good to go back. There might have been people that were interested in the trauma. You asked psychology.
Yeah, sorry.
We got derailed from the psychology question. Yeah. I talked about the emotional trauma of like being in love and not being able to communicate with your loved ones, especially in that situation. We didn't know how long we're going. They didn't say like, this is a 6-month or a 1-year deployment. It's like, you're going to Kuwait, we might go to war. If we go to war, we'll be there until the war's, until we do our job. So entering combat, we talked about how like we were trigger happy or like just excited to see what we could do. And we knew we were all, the morale was low before the war was declared, because we had been sitting in Kuwait, living in holes, eating cold food, drinking hot water for 2 months, no showers. And we wanted to cross that border, get our job done as fast as we could so we could go home, so we could see our loved ones again. So we were excited to do our jobs, like we talked about. When we got to Baghdad, and I talked about being in the college there and riding the missile. We got in just remembering what we talked about. So we talked about Christianity and having the Good Friday.
Service, yep.
So then we rolled to this place called Saddam City. At the time, it was called Saddam City.
Is that Sadr City?
I don't know.
Oh.
It's like the
Saddam
northeast suburb of Iraq. Okay. Call it that. And at the time, I was part of battalion command. I got to security of battalion command.
Oh,
I got to move
northeast
around.
Suburb of Baghdad.
Oh yes,
okay.
Baghdad. Gosh, thanks for correcting me again. Throwing all kinds of wrong years and terms out there. So the northeast suburb of Baghdad is Saddam City. We roll in there, and that was a little bit bigger battle than we were used to. Again, it was a place that, it was a residential community. The military took it over. They kicked everybody out of their homes. The military was living there. They had their tanks and their anti-air warfare weapons, and troop carriers. The houses were littered with military clothing. And I was part of battalion security, so I was kind of in the center when we rolled in here. So we had 1,000 Marines all the way around us, and they had light battles going on with people in civilian clothing. If we could see them, usually they were like tucked back behind the window a ways, so you couldn't see them and couldn't shoot at them when they were shooting at us.
Point. They could see you, but you couldn't see them.
Yeah. So anytime somebody showed their face, like it didn't take long at all for them to be taken out. Anytime a target was acquired, like it was a race to see who could shoot it first.
Oh man!
So the first part of this story is fun. I go and clear the building next to the battalion command, and it was like me and 2 other Marines did it. The building was clear. We didn't have any enemies in it. Didn't have to take anybody out. And as I'm exiting the building, I look and I see a sink and a kitchen. I was like, oh, let's see what this does. So I walk over to the sink and turn the knob, and there's running water. That's the first time I had seen running water in 3 months. It's like, so, but like the area is secure enough. There's battles going on, but we have 1,000 Marines.
Yeah, you just pause for a moment. You're like,
with like 200 people. There's Gulf companies in a battle only a few hundred yards from me. The mortars are right next to me, so the 81 millimeter mortars. They're launching the mortars. They're going down and they're hitting. So the ground's shaking. There's big explosions happening. I'm like, running water. This is it. This is the best thing in life right now. I take off my helmet, my flak jacket. We were wearing mop gear. So this entire time,
yeah, dude.
Like 3 weeks into the war, we still have these rubber suits that we're wearing. It's 120 degrees, and we're fighting in the war because of the chemical warfare. So I'm taking this stuff off. I'm washing my hair, and I'm getting water on me.
Did you have the chalk? Did you guys put the black chalk on for the?
I don't think we needed to.
Like the chemical absorption stuff. Yeah,
no.
where you have to like brush your hands and.
No, we didn't do any of that. We just wore the rubber suits, and then we had the gloves and the gas mask on our hips.
It was charcoal.
We had the rubber
the
boots
charcoal
on
stuff.
too.
Okay, yeah. Rubber boots.
Yeah,
dude. Yeah. Okay. Continue. Yeah.
So these mortar rounds are hitting not far away, just a couple hundred yards, and all of a sudden one sounded super close. It was like, oh my god, like the ground shook, huge explosion, percussion. I was like, wow, that was a short round. That or maybe like 151 started coming in. I go back to washing my hair. Staff sergeant comes running in. It's like, Corporal Waldron, what the fuck are you doing? Like, I'm washing up, Sasha. Come on, there's running water. Get over here. He's like, an RPG just hit your effing building. I was like, really? And I look around the corner of the wall, and what was a bedroom that I just cleared had a hole in it. I was like, oh. Put my gear back on.
Water still working?
Yeah. Go up to the roof, and so I had a couple buddies that were already on the roof.
Can you put yourself in his shoes, walking in on you doing that? Like, that's probably the funniest thing. Like,
runs in to see like if everybody's okay. Like, taking a shower.
What is happening? Like,
yeah. So I run to the roof, and it was still the same like what I expected. I mean, like there's Marines everywhere. Like it's I mean, yeah, I can try to contribute, but a target would appear there and would aim in, and all of a sudden it'd be obliterated. Like, okay, that was worthless. There's bullets that are pinging off around us. We're keeping our heads down for the most part. Now this is one of the more traumatic experiences I had my entire time in Iraq. Actually, two things happened this day. While we're on that roof taking out targets, there was 2 Iraqis that came running out of a troop carrier, and it was like within the Marine Corps lines, and aimed in a saw gunner opened fire before me. That's a fully automatic weapon, and he dropped the Iraqi that was in the back. So, changed my focus to the Iraqi in the front. And he turns around, grabs his buddy's arm, starts dragging him. I realize that's not a military-aged male. Like I was like a 12, 13-year-old kid. So there was probably these 2 kids, like the Army dispersed, these kids came in, saw Army equipment, thought it was cool as hell, they're hanging out in it, Marines roll in, battle opens up, and here they're hiding inside this Army equipment this entire time until they decide to try to make a run for it. And as he's dragging his buddy kid with holes in him, the saw gunner opens fire again and drops him too. I can only pray that he had a different perspective and he wasn't able to see the age of the children that we were shooting. But the traumatic thing for me about that, I mean, immediately, it wasn't traumatic. It didn't feel traumatic at the time. It's like, oh, that sucks. Next target. And that's all I thought. And I didn't think about it. I actually didn't think about it for 15 years or 12 years. 12 years later was the next time I thought about that moment. But what happened...
You're not trained to process. You're just trained to do.
Right.
Yeah.
What bothered me the most about it, and I remember thinking this in the time, excuse me, getting over a cold. I remember thinking about this at the time, like, I hope they're not suffering for long. Like, I just want it to be over. I don't know how long those kids laid there and thought about them dying. Like, they're never going to see their parents again. And we killed them. And that was painful. I had dreams when I came back from Iraq, common ones from the military where our unit's getting overrun and I can't find my weapon. Or I find my weapon and it doesn't work. Or finally the weapon works but the ammo doesn't work and we kept getting run over. And those dreams changed a few years after combat into people suffering. So I was trying to kill Iraqis but I couldn't get them out of their misery. And then I came home
It was like people, neighbors. I'm trying to kill them. I don't know why I'm trying to kill them. I'm just trying to kill them. And I just see that I've already started, and I don't want to stop now. I don't want them to suffer, so I would use whatever kind of weapon I could. I'd try to cut their heads off or smash their skulls in, whatever it was, shoot them. And I just couldn't get them to stop suffering. And they'd be looking at me like, why are you making me suffer?
Just like every night, dreams like that?
Oh, yeah. Yeah, almost every night. Yeah, it was terrible. 2007 was the first time that I woke up vomiting from one of these dreams. And it became like the people closest to me, like my close friends. I ended up getting a divorce, which I can talk about later. So it ended up becoming my girlfriend's kids. Like I would dream that I'm trying to cut their head off with a butcher knife. And then 15 minutes later, I'm having breakfast with them at the table. Wow. That's tough.
It's hard.
In 2015, I'm pretty sure that was the year that Chris Kyle movie came out. And in the opening scene, he's on a rooftop.
Yep.
And a kid was sent towards Marines. I think he was protecting Marines at the time. He was in the Army, if I remember, or Navy. He was in the Navy, I think. They sent kids towards Marines with a bomb, so he had to take out a kid. And when I watched that happen in the movie in the theater, that was when I first remembered that similar instance happened back in 2003. And that was like a holy shit experience for me. Like, wow, I had this suppressed memory for this long. And I thought more about it, and I thought, like, wow, I never watched anybody die. There was a lot of alive people, there's a lot of dead people, but I never watched the transition, and I don't know how long that took. And that's what really bothered me, is that suffering. And I was a hunter growing up, and my hunting strategies changed completely after combat too. Like, I'm much more patient and waiting for the right shot to make it quick. And I think I realized why, is that suffering is what bothered me the most. Not wanting things to suffer. Being dead is much more okay in my mind than suffering. So once I realized that, I stopped having the dreams. 10 years now. 10 years. I've had like 5 war dreams.
You didn't have to use alcohol to get to sleep?
I've used alcohol to get to sleep. We can get more into that too. But no, I was never like a severe alcoholic that needed that. I would just not sleep. Like, I'd have panic attacks almost every night when I'd lay in bed.
I say that because that's what I had to use. I had to get drunk. I had to put myself to where I'd pass out to get no dream sleep. So I'd wake up with no memory of a dream.
Wow.
And I had to experience that for a while.
Man, yeah, that's tough. A lot of veterans do. A lot of people do that have dreams like that and traumatic experiences.
Well, it's the same as what pain medication does. It blocks the signal of the pain. It doesn't do anything about the pain. And so our thing is still there. It's just a coping mechanism. So how did you transition in your mind from like basically learning how to cope with your stuff to like, no, I need to go further. I need to go to the root and actually the rewiring, the changing the brain's thought patterns as you talk about.
Yeah, so I had my first panic attack in 2009. I was driving on the road, and all of a sudden I thought I was dying. I thought I was having a heart attack. My heart's racing, my chest is cramping. I get tunnel vision. I can't think right. I can feel my heart just beating out of my neck. I couldn't drive. So I pulled over on the shoulder of the road, and I was rushed to the hospital. And went to the ER, and the doctors put me on an EKG.
Did you call the ambulance pick you up?
No, I had passengers, so we just swapped spots. And it happened to be a VA. It was like 5 minutes away. Okay. So I go to the VA emergency room, put me on an EKG. They say, no, you're fine, send me home. I was like, what? It's like, I'm not fine. Like, either I didn't get here in time or your machine's broken, but that shit is not supposed to happen to people. And it kept happening. And I kept going back to the emergency room thinking I was dying of a heart attack. And I finally was escorted to what they call the Operation Iraqi Freedom Counseling Department. Felt super out of place. I'm like, I'm an infantry marine. I don't need help with my mental health. What the hell am I doing here? It's like, I have heart disease. But I was put on multiple medications and increased the maximum dosages because they weren't working for me. Things didn't get better. Those were panic attacks, not heart attacks. Those panic attacks I was having started happening every day, multiple times a day. Definitely every time I laid in bed. And in hindsight, it makes sense. Every time I laid in bed, my brain thought I was going to combat, so it was preparing my body for fight or flight. And I didn't know that was happening. I just thought I'd lay in bed, that means I'm dying. And then when you wake up from a dream into a panic attack, like, you don't fall back asleep either. So yeah, sleep is really, really difficult. I'm fortunate, I think, that I didn't use alcohol as a mechanism to fall asleep, because I probably would still be drinking it. this was going on for years, and they just kept getting, for the longest time, like the only thing that I looked forward to were the hours between like 8 a.m. and noon is when I wouldn't get a panic attack. And then one day I woke up into a panic attack and I lost all hope. It's like life was so shitty trying to live it. So I just didn't want to be alive. I just wanted to be asleep all the time.
Did you have a structured like life where like you had goals, you had a direction you were going, and these would just sideline you, like just knock you out of the picture?
I'd say so. Like I did really well in college. I graduated with a degree in business emphasizing commercial real estate in 2008. It's like the worst time in history to get into real estate. That was the big crash. So the federal government offered me a job managing federal buildings in U.S. courthouses. So I took that. So that's what I was doing during these panic attacks. I was a federal building manager. So I'd go to my like very professional job during the day, and I would do my best to hide it throughout the day. And I started, so 2009 is when the panic attacks happened. I started in 2008. So I got to know my coworkers really well, and they started getting worried in like 2009 and 10. I was always on time, ahead of time. I was sleeping well. I was on task, and then all of a sudden I was not showing up in the morning. I would just not, because I would have panic attacks. I'd be up until 5 a.m. I'd finally fall asleep, and I'd miss my alarm at 6:30, and I just wouldn't show up. So they were very worried, like, what is going on with this guy? And I was hiding it. I was going to the hospital in the afternoons, and I wouldn't tell them why. I would just say, like, I have to take some, sick leave.
Yep.
And I transferred to Minnesota. So this was out in Indiana. I transferred to Minnesota in late 2010. And the big transition for me was one day, so I was super isolated. I didn't want to be around people. These panic attacks happened most often when I was around people. I couldn't go to movie theaters. Driving was terrible for me. Anytime I was in a crowd or a restaurant, anything like that, heck no. So I moved to northern Minnesota, and I moved out onto a reservation, onto the Fond du Lac Reservation. I had 60 acres, a little cabin, middle of nowhere. I'd commute to the federal courthouse in Duluth, Minnesota, and then I would like drive to the border stations, just super remote, 7 hours from nothing, because that's what I thought I wanted. Yeah. It was just to be away from people.
Just want to live like an Indian, just out there.
Yeah. One day I kicked myself in the ass. It's like, you're going to do something that you used to enjoy. Because I didn't enjoy anything. It's like, well, I used to like skiing in high school. So I went to Spirit Mountain, went down the ski hill and went up these little jumps, and I got kind of a rush. And I was talking with people on the chairlift, and it had been years since I just opened up conversations with strangers. In hindsight, that was a pretty safe environment. I didn't have a whole bunch of people around me that I thought could be enemy. It was just me and one other person dangling in the middle of the air. So I got a gym membership. I started working out to get stronger legs so I could go off bigger jumps. I got a membership for the ski hill. I was skiing 3-4 times a week, and I started feeling better. I started pulling out of that depression and anxiety, not having so many panic attacks. The snow melted. I fell back into the couch, into my isolation.
Created your own MWR program.
Yeah?
Morale, welfare, and recreation.
Okay.
Yeah.
Sure. Yeah. Well, and that's how I realized that once I fell back into isolation and back into severe symptoms. I realized that there was something about that fitness and socialization that was helping. And that was the first time. So this is 2011, 2012. First time that I realized I was having panic attacks. First time I realized that it was related to combat 10 years ago. Until then, I had no idea. I just thought I had like heart disease.
What was the exit from the Marine Corps? Like, what did they do?
Leaving the Marine Corps?
Yeah.
Like, was there no heads up? Class.
They didn't talk about shell shock.
No.
Like, take care of yourself, like,
not.
Good luck. It was just...
No, in the PowerPoint class we got, it was like how to apply for the VA if we choose that we wanted to do that. It's how to apply for unemployment insurance in California, even if we're moving somewhere else. Go to Goodwill if you want nice clothes, to afford nice clothes for job interviews.
I get all my jackets at thrift stores to this day.
That's right. Oh, yeah?
Yeah.
Nice.
The jacket I have sitting over there is from thrift. Yeah.
Nice.
Because only good people that take care of their suits and jackets turn their jackets into Goodwill.
Oh, yeah.
So there's only nice jackets and
really
suits at Goodwill. Yeah, or whatever thrift. Anyway, sorry.
That's a good point. So yeah, that's what the transition was like coming out. There was nothing about mental health at all. We take these people that get to decide on a daily basis who lives and who dies and how to kill them, and then we get a PowerPoint class on how to get a job and sent to the civilian world, and we're expected to to get along with civilians. Like, we talk differently, very vulgar.
We're upset that we have to follow these rules that we haven't had to follow in years. We were trusted not following them, and now we're not trusted anymore. All the responsibilities that we're trusted with, we no longer are, and we're sitting in college classes with people that just seem like little kids with no world experience, and it's just a
Did
really,
you have a freak out in college?
Transition.
I did. With
No.
like the noise and things, like, can I tell you mine?
Yeah,
Okay,
please
so
do.
this was NDSU. I got home in Iraq, going from Iraq the day before Veterans Day 2006. And so I enrolled, and I think NDSU offered, they're like, well, his grades aren't good enough, but we're not going to say no to a guy that applied from Iraq. I applied with the Army post office address from Balad and sent it. So they're like, okay, you get a conditional acceptance, fine. And so I was in was it history, English, whatever, maybe it was literature class. Anyways, I'm sitting up there, lecture hall, and I'm 20th. Oh, I'm 19? No, I'm 20 at this time. Okay, so I got these, I feel like I'm an old guy. And I got these young dudes, these students behind me. And they're just like chatting away, and I'm trying to listen to I get ADD anyway, so it's hard for me, and I know, I'm like, oh gosh, I'm on here on conditional acceptance, I need to focus, and I'm tuning into everything behind me, or my surroundings are just amplified, and it's hard for me to focus on what I want to focus on. And I started I could feel the red coming in, I guess, and I didn't know that I had anger issues, and I just put that little thing, I just slammed it, and I stood up, and I turned around, I swore a lot, and I said, hey, you blah, 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 I was loud, I was very offensive in my speech, but I kind of caught myself, and they were all like, and I stopped, and I turned around, and I was like, Professor, please continue. And I sat back down, and the person was like, and everyone was like,
Jeez.
and I just, and
behavior like that's not so alarming
then
in the military. That's halfway normal behavior.
Oh, and so professor's like, and just nodded, and then continued on with the thing, and it was so quiet after that. It was awesome. Everyone was just like, because I just flipped out during the next, and then ended up dropping out. I had a sister passed away unexpectedly.
Oh no.
And my sergeant committed suicide, Joe Beal, in May of 2007.
Oh man, I'm sorry to hear that.
So that was he was an infantry instructor, all the stuff. He was a good guy. But anyways, that was my college experience of freaking out in a crowd and not knowing how to deal with it, and then trying to catch myself and try to be normal. And I didn't feel like any of them. I'm like, why am I here? So, sorry. Yeah.
Wow. Yeah, I was really good at holding my bearing for the first 5 years after the Marine Corps. I was still very Marine.
So you had a lot of pressure under the cap.
Yeah.
Just
Strong cap.
yeah, strong. Oh man.
Yeah.
Was there a time where you did lose it?
At home, definitely at home. I would break things. Usually that would help me calm down.
What would you break? Not that details matter, but
Yeah, for instance, I had this terrible toxic relationship, and my girlfriend knew what my triggers were, and she would use them against me. Screaming is one of them. I mean, screaming, ground shaking, explosions, those were all things when I talked about my experience in my traumatic situations. Those things were all happening, the explosions, the ground shaking, the screaming, the gunfire. So those things will get my body on alert really quickly. And if we got in an argument, she would just sit there and slam a door over and over, make the loud noise, make the house shake, and that would just trigger me, and she knew it. And it was really difficult. And then screaming as well. I remember one time I was taking a shower, and there was an argument. I asked her to leave the bathroom, so she went and slammed the door, and then started screaming at me. And I asked her again to leave the bathroom, and she went and slammed the door and started screaming at me. And I just screamed at the top of my lungs, as loud as I could yell. Just let out this roar and started elbowing the side of the shower. And I put holes in the fiberglass shower, and those holes stayed there for for probably 2 years before I finally repaired them. And I'm still in the same location. I can still see the little repairs, and it reminds me of that. This was 11 years ago now. So yeah, that's an example of me losing a home. I know one time.
So like the thing is never the thing, right? Like it's the yelling isn't the problem, or the physical outburst is never the problem. It's the symptoms that have risen to the top of what the problem is, and it's I don't fault people for things like that anymore. I used to, like, how dare you yell at me? It's like, no, I see that there's something further down now that is the problem, and did I help push it down? Am I not help? Am I misidentifying the problem and not helping you talk about what you want to talk about? And so it's
and I think in that situation for me, like, anger is usually a result of fear, and just trying to identify for me what those fears are is so much easier not to get angry. And I'm so rare that I ever get angry, and if I do, nobody knows it these days. So that instance, I think I was fearful of having another panic attack. I stopped having panic attacks in like 2013, and we could talk about how I did that. So with her screaming and slamming the doors, and I felt like I was going to get into a panic attack, that scared me so much that I just did whatever I could, just went on a subconscious level, do what I could to get out of that situation. And that was roaring and hitting the wall, and it worked. I'm not saying that was the right thing to do, but it worked. She definitely stopped. She went into crying instead of yelling, and she didn't slam the door anymore. So that was.
So there was. Would you say you learned you didn't know how to handle conflict, like in communication? You didn't know how to communicate, because that was my problem, and that's
sure.
I didn't really learn these terms until after my failed marriage, but it was, you don't know what you don't know, and I didn't see a lot of conflict in my parents' marriage, so I didn't know how to handle because I showed up in the later years. I never saw the struggle. I saw the rewards of the hard work and the consistency and stuff. And so my idea of what things should be like should be smooth. Like, why aren't these things working? Like, how come I'm not successful at 23, 24?
Yeah. And part of my problem too is I didn't know when to end it. I didn't know, and going back to being the dorky kid growing up and not having girlfriends or knowing how to talk to women, like I would get attached too quickly. So I think I swung the pendulum a little too far the other way. After that experience, I dated probably 60 different people, and they were usually just one date. Like, I'd go to a restaurant and I'd find something that could be a trigger later on, or could be, I'd call it crazy. Like, if I pick out anything that could be crazy later on, like, I'd rather end it now.
Red flag. Yeah.
Yeah, like I stayed so far away from any possibility of getting into an argument with somebody. Like so I'm sure there was people that I went on dates with that could have been great life partners had I, maybe communicated better, knew how to communicate better. But I have an awesome partner now, so it was well worth it. I'm really glad that I waited to find the one that I found.
Well, waiting is important. Impulsiveness and choosing your partner doesn't always lead to the best outcome. It's so I'm a believer that
there's right people for people. There's somebody that more than one person. I'm a believer there's multiple people out there that can be right for you. Also a believer that there's multiple people out there that are very wrong for you.
Yeah, are you choosing to be the right person, right?
Yeah, for yourself, but as well, and then choosing to be in the right relationship.
So did you ever think about becoming an entrepreneur, like, earlier in life? You wanted to run your own company, or were you interested in, you said real estate, so there's that,
just after the Marine Corps,
the entrepreneurial edge of that.
After the Marine Corps, I was definitely entrepreneurial. I had that spirit. I had those thoughts. I would voice those to my wife back when I was married.
Leadership style stuff. Yeah.
Sure. Yeah, and then wanting to do things better.
Yeah.
Wanting to improve things, like being able to, so I always wanted to do that. Working for the federal government for a long time. This was 2014, 15. Let me talk about recovering from my symptoms, my combat stress, because that leads into this really well. So once I pulled out of those severe symptoms, when I started skiing and getting involved in the community, and I realized that my brain changed in combat.
that was causing these things 10 years later, I got really interested in our memory. Like, why was my brain able to remember these things from 2003 so much better than other things I've done in my life? And why can I remember this instance, with somebody dying in combat so much better than I can remember what I ate for breakfast? Like, there must be something going on there. So I learned about the neuroscience behind memory. I'm not an expert in it, but I learned a lot about it. And
those are good questions, though.
Yeah, and there's something called brain-derived neurotrophic factor. It's in a particular category of neurotransmitters that helps with our memory. So this BDNF, brain-derived neurotrophic factor, is available anytime our heart rate spikes. So we can remember things better. It's our brain growth hormone. We can remember things better for the next 4 hours because our heart rate spiked. So in a traumatic situation, when our heart rate spikes, our brain can lock in all of those dangerous things, those triggers or fears, because BDNF and other neurotransmitters are available to help with that.
Okay. And so is the moment, so I have a moment where like the recording light that's why I call it the recording light goes off.
Oh, sure.
And this was after second IED det, and I have zero memory afterwards. And I wake up, my next memory of the situation is, because we just got off of an evac, put a guy in a Black Hawk that got hit. It was a non-combatant truck driver, and we lifted him up. And then I was going back to the Buffalo because we were pulling out a cordon. It was that night. It was on Taji, on MSR Tampa. And then when I was climbing the top of the Buffalo ladder, all of a sudden, boom, just that that concussion. You feel it in your chest because before you hear it, right? And then I just remember just going, the doors open, so I'm kind of in and out of the Buffalo back area, and then my sergeant dives on top of me and he's yelling, "Go, go, go!" And I get up and I sit in the chair, and there's a cooler behind me. So there's driver, there's second row seat and third row seat. I was in the third row seat, and because I dismounted as the CLS medic, the one with the medic bag, and I grabbed a soda. We had sodas back there, and I remember drinking it, and then I wake up and I'm in my hooch, and I'm cleaning my weapon, and there's blood on my arm, on my DCUs. I'm like, I have no idea. I don't remember going into the gate. I don't remember anything. Zero.
Wow.
But I remember everything prior to that because I dismounted as we were trying to work on this dude, and so it's it's either I think I've heard where what you said, you remember everything in extreme vivid detail, scent, you can literally play by play, and then there's the ones where it's just like your brain's like, no, you're not going to remember what's going to happen.
Yeah.
This is nope. We're gonna.
Sounds like a couple things going on there. One might be your conscious memory versus your subconscious memory. Maybe the subconscious memory remembers more things than you're able to consciously recall.
And what tortured me relating to that situation is my brain, I will have dreams filling in the gaps. And I don't know what's real of what.
That's wild.
And then I talked to some people and like,
wow.
And they said, oh no, we Charlie Miked and we ended up, rolling back in.
Yeah.
I was like, I don't remember.
And that can be concussion related too. If the percussion's hard enough, it might be concussion related. I don't know if you've dived into that with anybody on why you don't remember.
I don't remember seeing the medic on that op at all. Like it was just, because that was just what we did. It was like a normal, it wasn't normal to be outside during the blast, but it was, but nothing ever got put in my file on that one. And and it's just whatever. But yeah, so the memory stuff, it's still it's like what, 1 or 2% that the studies can know about what memory is or isn't, where it's stored and how it's located, and how memory is such a fascinating field. And you got into it.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, at least enough to understand what was triggering my anxiety and my panic. So in those situations like that, let's say when that bomb went off, let's say it was a Coke can. Is that what it was? Like a can of Coke that you grabbed afterwards?
Oh, I grabbed it was a Sprite.
Oh, you said soda. Okay, Sprite.
Yeah.
Was it like a different shaped Sprite, or was it like a U.S. Sprite?
No, it was a smaller can Sprite. It was the little tiny ones. Yeah.
So what can happen is our brain can
can lock in everything about that situation to prepare us for a similar life and death situation in the future, especially if people were dying at the time. So your brain could lock in this small Sprite can as a trigger for a life and death situation. So 20 years down the road, it could happen subconsciously. 20 years down the road, somebody might be drinking a small Sprite can, and you don't even pay attention to it, but your brain notices it.
Yeah.
It can release your sympathetic nervous system, preparing you for another fight or flight moment, another life and death moment. So when that happens, our adrenaline's released and our heart starts racing because it's preparing us for fight or flight. And we get tunnel vision, like blood's taken from our brain and pushed to our extremities and put to different places in our brain so that we can get back to what is necessary for survival. So our thinking brain, our conscious brain, doesn't operate as well. We can't read when we're having a panic attack or going into fight or flight. And the tunnel vision is literally because our brain stops filling in the gaps of what we think we might be seeing, and it's just focused on what we're actually seeing.
So like that moment you talked about with, I hope your friend saw a different picture, and there's a thing where I was trained by a precision shooter, and he ran us through exercises, and he would see some people coming down a trail, and he'd be like, turn around, what did you see? Da-da-da-da. What did you see? Da-da-da-da. We'd paint 3 different pictures.
Oh, sweet.
And he's like, why did you? And so he would break it down on why you said this, why you said this. One guy, he's like, it was a tall guy in this colored shirt, short guy, this, it's like,
yeah.
And it was based on how we identify our threat matrices.
Oh, sure.
What is like our threat matrix is like a blurry picture. And if that comes into a certain level of resolution, red flag, threat. Like that's it.
Sure.
Threat.
I can see that.
And then the resolution can get a little more clear.
Yeah, because a lot of
like,
what we see or we think we see
it wasn't
isn't actually being perceived. It's not the actual light that's coming into our brain. It's a lot of what we see is what our brain tries to fill in based on the things we're actually seeing.
Right. And so long range precision shooting is that same thing. So you can't actually see the target, but you're putting your reticle where you believe the target is, and then that's what you're doing. And
sure.
I can just be like, you can't. No, you can't. Your scope is not that good. But you're putting your crosshairs where your brain thinks it needs to be.
Sure.
And then, the brain fills in the rest. It's so strange.
So going back to that memory part and having that Sprite, so that's just an example of what a fear or a trigger could be. What's really common in the military, the loud noise is obviously screaming, ground shaking, gunfire, smells of blood. Smell's a different one too, because that actually doesn't go through our brains like operators center. Smell is the only perception that just can go directly to our fight or flight.
And you said scent is
scent, yeah.
Scent is particulate. Odor is particulate.
When even subconsciously we experience something, so let's go with something simple like a dirt road.
Right.
So there's a lot of dirt roads when we're in combat, a lot of dust. There's an IED goes off. There's a lot of dust in the air. That can get locked in as a fear, locked in as a trigger for us, that our body thinks is a life and death situation. So 20 years down the road, we might be driving down a dirt road and the wind picks up and there's a bunch of dust. Our brain might think we're entering combat again, entering life and death again. So it releases that sympathetic nervous system. So which is normal and good when you are actually entering combat again. Like you want that to happen. Mm-hmm. You want to be in your fight or flight. But when you're just sitting in your car driving down a road and it happens, you don't understand why your heart's racing. Mm-hmm. And you don't understand why you're getting tense. Right. And you don't understand why your body's shaking from sugars and you get tunnel vision. So it's really scary. It feels like we're dying. And that's why I felt like I was dying of a heart attack all the time. Some people feel like they're choking, their neck muscles will tighten up, trying to breathe heavy, feel like they're not getting oxygen. So we begin to panic.
Yeah, we don't have that switch where we can just deactivate combat mode. And we're like, okay, this no longer needed. I don't need to be combat Marine.
Yeah.
In civilian life.
And when we don't
suburbia.
in combat, it's not that scary because we're in combat. Like we know our body should be right. If you're in a car accident and you're shaking afterwards, that's normal. It's like you know it. I was just in a car accident.
Yeah.
But if you drive through an intersection where you once had a car accident and you're shaking afterwards, you might not know why you're shaking, and it can get scary. So that's where panic attacks come from. We can recover from those. We can train those out of us. We can train our brain to relate all of those triggers. So we talked about like the Sprite can, we talked about dust in the air or dirt road, talked about driving through an intersection. We can retrain our brain that those things are safe, friendly, fun, loving, trusting environments and triggers rather than possible enemies so that we stop having panic attacks. And that's what we do in 23rd Veteran. That's one of the things that we do in 23rd Veteran. That's one of the things that we did do with this program I developed. So it was 2015. after studying and learning this neuroscience and changing myself and seeing that I could change myself, be like, holy cow, what else can I change about myself? I learned a lot more about neurotransmitters that are involved in our happiness and our emotions. And that our emotions, everything we feel, is actually a tangible molecule or a neurotransmitter. It's something tangible that's in our brain. It's not just a thought. And that was so exciting for me. When those neurotransmitters are deficient, we feel depressed and anxious and low sex drive and difficulty sleeping, anger. A lot of things come from that. But there's behaviors we can put ourselves through to optimize those neurotransmitters so that we're not feeling those things. We're feeling more confident. We're feeling more secure. We have energy and motivation and discipline. So learning that there's actual behaviors that can increase my emotions. I quit my job, quit that federal job, cashed in my retirement, and I started this organization to try to help my buddies that were still struggling, and of course any other military members and veterans that we could help along the way.
So why is it 14 weeks?
That was based on, it began with 12 weeks. At the time of starting it, 12 weeks was like the magic number of creating a habit. We wanted to put people through this immersive program to create these healthy habits that they could take on life afterwards. And then we added an outdoor wellness experience. We could talk about that for the beginning of it. And then we added another week into the program for, I think it was mindfulness at the time. Now we have mindfulness weeks, anger weeks, nutrition weeks, and other weeks that we're focusing on those important neurotransmitters like serotonin, oxytocin, dopamine, just going through the behaviors in the program and for our homework outside of the program to learn what it takes in life to, I call it functional mental health. Like what are the functions we can put our body through to optimize our mental health. The first week of the program is an outdoor wellness adventure, like I mentioned. And that is the most important part. Without that, there's no way that we would get the people to commit to the rest of the program together.
Oh yeah. Well, you can put it at the end. Like, if you do this, then we'll send you to Alaska.
I disagree.
Okay. No.
I agree with the theory.
Right. Okay.
But with the experience now, like especially when you're dealing with a lot of people that have been struggling, like it's really hard to become vulnerable. You don't trust other people. It's really hard to come out of your home a lot of times and do things that you're unfamiliar with.
I see. So the thing in the beginning is you communicating to them, I'm trusting you with this. I'm giving you something spectacular, and you need to give me afterwards.
So what happens on that outdoor wellness adventure, what we do is we get like a dozen people from a city or a commuting area, and then we'll send them to Alaska or somewhere where they survive for a week in the wilderness. What happens during that survival is when we're in that uncomfortable and unfamiliar situation, it is so much easier for us to build trust with people that we have something in common with. So we all came from the same area. We all came from the Twin Cities. We all came from Duluth, whatever it might be. So that's the start of it. And we go through a hard days of effort, whether it's hiking, rock climbing, we'll do sailing or canoeing, whatever adventure we're on. We do that for a day. We have to find food in some cases, but we always bring enough nutrition. So we bring our food, we're cooking it, we're learning the camp skills, we're learning some leadership skills. We set up camp, and then we sit down by a fire at the end of the day, and it's just so comfortable to talk about things that we don't normally talk about. And it makes those barriers of judgment on each other disappear. And we can just be real humans and have conversations that we don't normally have and that we're normally not comfortable having. So the whole purpose of this is to break through that vulnerability with each other. And when we do
discover the problem.
When we experience that for a week, it's incredible. We leave with people that we don't trust, that we judge, that we don't like a lot of times. We don't think we're going to like them. And we come home after a week with friends like we had in the military, like the tightest group of people that we love is just so then, like we have this unspoken accountability with each other. Not only do we feel more comfortable going out in town now because we have this team that we trust again, but we want to be with this team. Like we finally have friends and they're counting on us to be there. So that first week sets up, if we want to call it group therapy, which I usually don't call this group therapy, group cohesion is the most important factor in any type of group therapy. It sets up that group cohesion so people will actually participate, enjoy participating, and be far more vulnerable than they're normally comfortable being for the next 13 weeks of the program.
Yeah.
So we have over a 90% graduation rate.
Okay.
And what they do when they come back, they show up at a gym. It's usually a CrossFit gym. We have a coach that leads them in a workout. And the reason we do that is our brains can remember things for 4 hours much better after a workout. So anytime our heart rate's up, whether it's a traumatic situation or we get it up on our own, we're primed for learning for the next 4 hours. We work out, then we sit down on the gym floor right there and we open up our playbook and we go through our positive psychology, our functional mental health training. So we have discussion questions that are based on these neurotransmitters.
You said you don't talk about you don't say mental health.
So in the programming, if you go on our website, it's set up two different ways. So there's people that want to help, and they like seeing the words like help because they want to know that they're helping someone, which is true. They are helping someone if they donate or if they get involved to volunteer or come out to a ruck march. And they want to help with someone who's struggling or has mental health or PTSD, something like that. And then that's the program side of the website, because when we're in that shit, when we're struggling like that, we've been in the military, a lot of times we don't want help from somebody else.
Well, we don't.
We don't want to have a diagnosed disorder, PTSD. So you're not going to see a lot of those words on that side of the website, just because it's so hard for us to identify it with it. After we recover, once we feel better, then we can look back and be like, yeah, I was struggling. I needed some help back then, or I had some mental health issues. But when we're feeling it, it's really hard to identify with that, and it's just another barrier to enter the program.
And then I saw, on one of your interviews, it said you don't watch the news. No social media or no news feeds.
Yep. So the 14 weeks of this program, there's no watching the news. There's research behind all of these. Mm-hmm. There's no bitching.
Right. Oh yeah, I like that one.
There's no alcohol use or substance abuse.
Nice.
For 14 weeks. You have to show up, and there's no war stories.
What about prescribed medication? Is that a case by case basis?
Prescribed is fine. Yeah, we don't overuse medication. Yeah.
Right.
Yeah, don't abuse or overuse it.
Mine is Adderall or dextroamphetamine, the VA version.
Well, it's really cool. Through this program, a lot of people get off their medication. They'll talk with their doctors about it as they're going through the program.
I hate that I have to. Yeah. I hate this. I hate I hate that I'm beholden to this prescription.
Sure.
It's.
I wish we could talk more about that.
It's the devil to me, man.
I really got to get going.
So towards the end of our podcast thing, but you want to talk about how people can be connected, and we'll include links to your website and.
Sure. Like learning more about the program that we've been running. So we developed it in 2015, and we've been improving it over the years. We're on the 5th revision of it now, and it's been extremely successful.
What are the upcoming events?
Yeah, we have upcoming events to support. So the program that I talked about, we have other programs we do too, but that one I talked about is running in Duluth in about a month. We're happy to go back to Alaska. The founder of Under Armour opened up his place to us and providing guides and food and boats and tents, and we're going to go survive in middle of nowhere in Liamna, Alaska.
You got to document, like a crew to document everything, and that's...
Yeah, that's a fine line too, because we don't want people entering the program to think like they're just a subject for a camera.
True. Wounded Warrior program is kind of like that.
Sure.
Everything is PR, photo op, everything. No, wear these shirts, and it's like it's all the logo on it, and it's.
So you have to balance that. I mean, I see the benefit of that is you get more donors, so you can help more people. But how are you helping the people that are in the program right now when you're doing that? It's like it's a balance.
How do you justify? Right. How do you? Because it's all donations, but there's a balance.
Yeah. So that's coming up. We're doing one in northern Minnesota, Virginia area in the fall, and we'll do other ones throughout the year too, in the future.
And
so that's the recon program. And then to support is the Ruck March.
Okay.
So that's Ruck Life.
Got it.
Ruck Life, it's up to a 10-mile walk. We do it with a backpack, so it's like a Ruck March in the military. Any kind of backpack works. Most people wear tennis shoes. Kids are welcome. The Anoka one is stroller friendly.
Oh, nice.
So you can push strollers,
put the backpack in the stroller.
Wheelchairs.
Perfect.
Yeah, there you go. Put the kid in the backpack. You come out to the event, you register for it, you do fundraising, and that helps fund our programs. And then you put food and clothes in your backpack. So we're going to carry food and clothes anywhere from 1 mile to 10 miles in Anoka. And at the finish line, we donate all that food and clothing.
That's awesome.
To other veteran organizations in need. So we'll usually donate between like 6,000 and 8,000 pounds of food.
Wow.
So a lot of people come out and do this. It's a super exciting event. We've got a big stage. We've got a live DJ, loud music. It's a somber subject, so we keep the fundraising as still very meaningful, but also as exciting as we can. So it's just a day that everybody leaves on a life high for being there. So yeah, you can join that as a sponsor, as a rucker. You can raise money there. You can volunteer there. We do that in Anoka on September 6th. We do it in Duluth at the end of May or early June. So it's the Saturday after Memorial Weekend every year out there. And yeah, this last one was pretty exciting. So people raised over $165,000 now for that one in May. And they
So you're gonna
donated
be-
about 8,000 pounds of food.
So you'll be back in the area for that event?
For Ruck Life in Duluth. That'll be...
No,
yeah,
I mean for the Anoka one. You're
the
gonna be-
Anoka
you're
one,
gonna
yeah, September 6th.
Okay.
September 6th, we're here in Anoka.
Well,
at the high
maybe
school.
we can do another chat.
Yeah, sure. Yeah.
Okay.
After the event will be easier than before the event
Yeah.
to sit down and chat.
Yeah, that'd be great. It's so rank and file. I usually like to give all my guests a gift.
Oh,
And you are a baseball guy. I don't have any, but this is the
hey,
Fighting
that
Sioux logo.
works.
Here's a hockey puck. And the thing about it is my biological dad, Bennett Breen, is the artist for the Fighting Sioux logo. And I know northern Minnesota is all about hockey.
really?
So it's been
Wow.
discontinued. The NCAA thought it was a racist logo. It's like a
remember
native, a full-blooded Ojibwe artist made that. Like, how's it racist? So, but
And that was your dad?
And that's my biological dad. And so him and I have a great
Unreal.
relationship. And
This is cool.
that's so.
Man, thank you for that.
Yeah, you're welcome.
It's awesome.
So,
It's been really good to get to know you. It's a good conversation.
yeah, hope we can continue these and just help. Point of this is to get veterans to talk, and usually they work out their own problems. You got to create the environment to help them just get it out. It's never the doctor saying this is what's wrong with you. It's
Yeah, the way therapy is designed is not the same way that the warrior class of people receive it.
Right.
That's for sure.
a lot of it. A lot of nights staying up, probably way too late, trying to ask myself why am I the way I am, and being able to try to figure out what that is. And it was. I'm not saying I fixed myself, but in ways like you did. Like I climbed Mount Rainier, Mount Hood, and getting out there and with other veterans, and that was a big deal. So I want to thank the Warriors Garden, Nick Ron, for providing the space for today. And
Nick's a good guy.
yeah, he has the comedy stage over there, the TWG.
Yep.
Are you a funny guy?
Nope.
No good jokes?
No. I've got like one-liners.
Okay.
I try to be funny.
Okay.
Just doesn't
Well, I'm
come as
going to need your
natural as it
address.
does
I need
for
to
other
send you a
people.
box of crayons on the Marine Corps birthday.
Yeah.
So, all right. Hey, thanks. It was
Cool.
great, man.
All right.
Appreciate it.
Yeah. It's a really good conversation. Thanks, man.